It's time for the Roots and Roots Show with your host, Greg Rashid, bringing you history and music from the Black American diaspora. Greg and his guests' goal is to root the show's information in your psyche, providing you the roots to expand knowledge within your community. Now here's your host, Greg Rashid.
Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone out there. This is Greg Rashid with another edition of the Root and Root Show. Heard from many people at their convenience on every little spot in the world on the internet. But a lot of folks listen every Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Mountain Time on KUHSdenver.com, created by the one and only, he's a legend. That's all I can say, Henry Archuleta. And I want to say hi to all my friends who listen on in Denver and Boulder and Colorado Springs and up in the mountains throughout Colorado, throughout the world. Just happy to be on here today. And I'm going to get straight into my interview right now. But before I do that, very unusual here. Some of you folks in places like Colorado will appreciate this. It's about, I'd say 70, it might be almost 69 here today in Bangkok, Thailand. It's very cool. And I actually could wear a jacket today. I don't know if that has to do with climate change or not. I know there is a cyclone coming this way. It's getting kind of cloudy, but right now it's very nice. And I hope you enjoyed this interview I'm about to do because I've brought on a guest who I've had on before. I enjoy talking to, and I'm talking about author, nutrition expert, but everything, Terry Liggins. And I'm going to do an interview right now with her we taped earlier. Hope you enjoy this. I know you will. So let's listen to Terry here on the Root and Root Show. And this is Greg Rashid again. And I am so happy. I love when I have a guest come back on, especially one that's very popular and people want to hear more about them. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about a young lady who was on here in September. And this a Renaissance person, does a little bit of everything, but we're concentrating on the health aspect of life. And she's written a number of books. The one I'm looking at is right now is a Get Your Raw On. And who I'm talking about is Terry Liggins. How you doing there, Terry?
Hi, Greg. I am doing fantastic. Thanks for asking, and thanks for
And
having
I'm
me.
I'm happy to have you back on. I can have you on here like every month, every day, just about. Cause yeah, so I mean, you were just warming up in the last show. You were just warming up as far as what you were
Yes.
talking about, and you went through your life history, basically about how you became, got into a raw diet and all. But what we talked about off the air, something that I think my listeners really need to know also is like, what should they do? Because I get people like, what is a raw diet? How's she doing this? Isn't that like a lot of money to do that? Is she doing organic? Is it vegan? Is it vegetarian? What is that? So you can answer some of those questions, give like examples of what foods you
Mhm.
eat, some of the experiences you've had about people who are trying to help you when you go to events, but you find out that they really don't know what you're really about as far as what you eat.
Yep, they're so right. You're so right. Oh boy, I'm just trying to think. Where do I begin? Where do I begin? I will say that I will be referencing my three health and wellness books when answering your questions because I figured, it's already written down there. Why should I try and think of it off the top of my head? So I appreciate you having that book, Get Your Raw On. And that was the first one that really talked about my journey into this raw style of eating, whole plant based, I like to call it. And then more recently, I've written a couple books in a series. And the first one in this series is called Fix Your Immune System.
Oh, great.
And yeah, it's a good one. I've gotten a lot of good reviews on this one. And then the second one is Fix Your Gut. Um, and that's how to get relief from, celiac, Crohn's, IBD,
Oh,
IBS,
wow.
GERD, all those things that disrupt the digestive system. Yeah, so, and then the next one coming up will be Fix Your Brain.
Fix your brain. Oh, man.
Yeah, yeah, and keep that memory tight. And a lot of people don't realize this, Greg, but what you are eating today at our age, what we're eating, and even earlier stages of our life, just really determines whether or not. And science have they studies have proven this to some extent. It depends on whether or not you'll have Alzheimer's.
Right.
A
And
lot
I
of
got to correct you,
this.
Cherry. You said our age.
Mhm.
I'm 68, but I know for a fact that you're 27.
Thank you. 27 a couple times, several times over.
No, we won't say that. Just look at,
Yeah.
listeners, Google Terry Liggins, and you will see, you'll see what I'm saying. It's like, oh no, she's not your age. No, she's not. No.
Oh,
But
bless you.
any, but it comes down to the food. It's the food. It's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
she's
it
done.
does. It does. DNA is in there a little bit too. My mom is 86 and going on 66 probably.
Oh yeah.
People confuse her for, a 60-some-year-old person in her 80s. So yeah, I have to give a little um, credit to some good DNA, but a lot of it has to do with our environment and what we're allowing our bodies to be subjected to.
Right.
The
But
stress.
wait a minute, Terry. Aren't all,
Mhm.
in the rumor is that all black folks eventually get sugar.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, yeah. I saw this little cartoon once, and it's a doctor talking to the patient, and the patient says, "Well, doctor, diabetes runs in my family," and the doctor said, "Nobody runs in your family." So it's like, it's not a hereditary thing,
no.
in other words. But you're right. We grew up on that, notion that, oh, he's got sugar. Okay, that means diabetes, but that means their environment allowed it.
That's
And if
right.
brother, sister, and uncle, and all these multiple people within one household have it, again, it's not because it's hereditary. It's because environmentally, we're trained, we're brought up in, we have traditions, and all of these things add up to sometimes bad habits. That's bottom line. Tradition equals bad habits that
That's it.
people just do not want to get away from. And in fact, that just segues into my mentioning that one of the first things that someone would need to do in order to make this journey into healthier living would be to break the emotional ties. And that is just, again, tradition. I When I first went raw, and as if anyone is listening who heard my story last time, um, I had a heart attack at age 40. And then soon thereafter, as they were going through all the series of tests and scans, biopsies, and such, discovered that I had an autoimmune disease called sarcoidosis. It can affect anywhere in your body where you have tissue. Mine happened to be in my left lung, and my breathing was very, very compromised. And I dealt with this for 12 years. A lot of other little nuances
Right.
going through. I mean, your whole body just um, freezes because of the pain every time you breathe. It feels like, a knife is stabbing. And so your instinct, your body is just like, I don't want to breathe. I don't want to breathe because I don't want that pain to come. And so just a lot of little stuff like that. For 12 years, I dealt with it until I learned about living superfoods. And so it was in September of that year, 10 years ago, that I went raw. And so you know what's coming up soon after that. After that is Thanksgiving. And so that was my first big challenge of,
Oh yeah.
okay, yeah, how will I get through this in the traditional Thanksgiving meal and everything? I'm telling you, I got through it with flying colors. Why? Because I dealt with the emotional part of eating prior to entering that Thanksgiving season. So that is when you have to tell yourself that, you know what, I'm just really addicted to this particular food because I grew up on it, or it brings me happy feelings when I eat this particular thing. Um, a perfect example, growing up, I would sit at my dad's feet as we watched the Steelers playing football
Right.
on Sundays. And so, what is my favorite team to this day? The Steelers. And I think it just really, um, brings back those fond memories of when my father was alive. And he was a workaholic, so it was so unusual to even see him relax. And the only time he would, just sit home long enough to relax would be when the football games were on. And so I can also remember walking into my maternal grandmother's house and smelling coffee and bacon. And
Oh yeah.
she loved burnt toast. For whatever reason, she loved her toast burnt. So that wasn't a good smell in that mix, but the coffee, oh my gosh. So when I drink coffee these days, and I only drink coffee with a healthy um, kick to it, I would say. So that means my coffee is infused with CBD, or my coffee is infused with mushrooms. I have like 7 different mushrooms now. I don't do it myself, I buy it like that
Right.
so that it has all these different types of mushrooms that are ground into it and such. So that means it makes me feel a little better that I'm putting a little, healthiness to it. But I know that my coffee, loving to drink coffee in the morning, brings me to a happy place of the memory of my
And I'm
grandmother's
sure
house. So
right
we
now,
have to get,
yeah. And I'm
yeah,
sure a lot of
go
folks are
ahead.
listening right now. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, I'm talking with Terry Liggins, and she's talking about her raw diet over the years and other things here. But one thing I know some folks are listening right now who are saying, okay, mushrooms, I don't know if I want that. Aren't they poison? Ugh, how can she do that? In coffee? Ugh. And what are
Right.
mushrooms good for?
Oh my gosh, mushrooms are a superfood and they're healing. They have such healing attributes. Now, of course, you have to make sure you're picking the right mushrooms and
That's
not the
right.
poisonous ones. So that's why I leave it up to the experts. I don't go out there in the forest and try and pick my own mushrooms. But there are the names to them, shiitake, and there's a horse something main. I have to look at it, but there's so many different kinds, and
And
it's all
in
infused.
portobello, you can eat that, and
Yes,
if
of
cooked
course,
the right
portobello.
way. Now you don't cook anymore, but I'm still cooking here, and portobello. I mean, it
Hmm.
can taste like it is actual meat if you're
A
into
ham.
it.
Yeah, you could actually think you're biting down into a hamburger. You put
Right.
that portobello mushroom between, 2 buns, and put some lettuce, tomatoes on it, and saute it. Yeah,
Yeah.
just put a lot of flavorings in it, soy sauce and a lot of other good flavorings, and you're sauteing it. Now, when I first went raw, because I was in a healing mode, I was 100% raw, and I was very strict with it. Now I am just like 80, 90% raw, and the other 10%. Now, with that other 10%, I would never eat meat and dairy, but I will eat cooked foods like stews and just other things like at a restaurant, if it's like, okay, I got to eat these cooked green beans, then that's what it is. I was at this one restaurant, and they had on the menu, the only thing I could eat on the menu was some spinach that they cook in the skillet ever so slightly, or quickly. They
Right.
put it in the skillet, and then they put it on your plate and make it all a little pretty. And but I asked the waiter, I said, can I have that raw? Can I have that without you cooking it? And I tell you, Greg, it was just hilarious. I wish I had filmed it. This guy was so confused. He's like, well, what, we just put it in the skillet for a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. I get that. Can I just have it without you cooking it? Before you put in the skillet? He just like was puzzled. Like, no, I don't think so. Why would you want that? It was hilarious.
I mean,
He
this is
just could not
you.
figure
It's
it out.
someone you would think would know what you're saying.
I
This
know.
is their
It's almost
job. This is what they do. But
nope.
on the other
It
hand, Terry,
was
at least he didn't go in the kitchen and pull out a can, open up a can of spinach and say, okay, this is raw for you. Here you go.
right. Yeah, at least it wasn't that. But yeah, I actually gave up trying to explain to him. And the other people at the table, they were just like laughing too. Like, is this like for real? Is he? I just said, you know what? Just bring it to me how you have it on the menu. Just bring it. So, so I had to just eat cooked spinach, because heaven forbid if he were to just put the spinach on the plate and just hand it to me.
Right.
So yeah, our restaurants have a lot. They have a long way to go to just figure out, if they're a non-vegan restaurant, they kind of are lost when just trying to, just do it from just what I'm telling you to do. Just put.
And this, as we talked about off the air, I mean, we're in the midst of the 21st century,
I
and you
know.
would think by now, if all the technology, all the information you get on your phone or anywhere, that
Yes.
people would know by now. But it's still like we're in this other time period, or the period when when I became a vegetarian in the mid '70s. Right, people didn't have a clue of what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But you find that you're still running into that. And you mentioned something, another story I want you to tell my listeners about that happened to you about the rice.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's really pretty funny, but sad. So within a month's time, I had two major events to go to, which consisted of a large reception, and so when they ask you ahead of time when you're making the RSVP and such, and they ask if you had any special uh, dietary needs or whatever. And so I answered their question. And when it was time to go up to the buffet line, the lady comes to me and she said, are you Terry? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, you just sit here. We have a special vegan dish for you. So you don't have to go to the buffet. We'll bring it to your table. I said, oh, okay. So I thought, well, that was pretty nice. And they bring this plate just filled and a mountain full of rice and five five asparagus stalks on top. And the asparagus was probably cooked. It
Of
could have been
course.
raw. It could have been just seared, ever so lightly or whatever. But a pile of rice, white rice at that. Could you at least brought black rice, brown rice? No, it was, or jasmine rice even would have been good. But
Oh,
white
yeah.
rice, so I had to like, I did eat some of the rice because I didn't want to just look like I was just being difficult and wasting food. But I still was barely able to put a dent in that big bed of, that big plate of rice. And
Right.
then at the other event that I went to in the same month, it was a gala ball, and at the buffet table, they had a little note there, a little sign that said, if you wish to have a gluten free dish, just notify us. And I, flagged the girl down, and she said, okay, I'll bring it to your table. And when she brought the plate to my table, it was about the same heaping size of rice, except this was pasta. It was
Oh,
all this pasta with some cooked vegetables on top. So I was like, okay, here we go again. And I, picked at the pasta a little bit. Now I'll eat rice before I eat pasta because I've been to now restaurants that do get it correct are Indian restaurants.
Oh yes,
Um,
yeah.
Thai, yeah, where they serving Thai food, um, and Indian and Ethiopian restaurants. You did, the food, Mediterranean restaurants, yeah, because Mediterranean food, they cook it with the right oils to begin with. And then the food is not just overcooked. So, I mean, it's like when you eat the vegetables that are cooked, you almost can just not receive any nutrients from it. You already know you're not going to get much
Right.
nutrients at all because it's the life has been cooked out of those
And
ingredients.
being over here in Thailand in Bangkok, I mean, I witnessed that daily as far as how these folk cook, and it's never overcooked. When I've gone to
Mm.
places, it's never overcooked. The only time I've seen overcooked meals over here is if I happen to go to an American-based or
American
British or
restaurant.
Australian-based restaurant, and they're
Okay.
catering to foreigners, that to Thai folks.
Mm.
Then you see this. Then you see this food like, oh God, it's awful.
That's crazy. I know.
But
We can learn a lot from our fellow brethren from around the globe, and they just now the younger generation. It's sad that, like in the with the Chinese culture, the younger generation, you're seeing more of them overweight than
oh
not.
yeah, over here, I mean, I'm right down. I can look out right now here out the window, and I can look at a KFC. And they talk about that over here
Mm.
that a lot of younger folks are suffering from something they never had here, but diabetes.
Something. Oh man, that's so sad because they're adopting the American ways, the
Yeah,
Western ways. Please don't, people.
I
And
know.
we really tout our country as being, number one. We're number one. We're number one. You ever hear people chanting that? And it's like, but what are we number one in?
That's it.
Health problems, heart disease, cancers. I mean, that's what we're number one in. It's sad. So we really need to be careful of trying to impose our habits onto other countries, our eating, our
But
cuisine.
unfortunately, the corporations that
I know.
run these different fast food places, they are ingrained all over the world.
Yeah.
Everywhere I've been so far in the world, I've traveled to other countries, and being here, you'll see a fast food joint. And they're usually near a
Mm-hmm.
school, be it an elementary, high school, or a college,
Oh, wow. Yep.
because they know who
That
they're
was by
catering to.
design. Mm-hmm. That's by design.
Yeah,
That's so sad. That's so sad. So you can get past all that, and by having a mind that has been reprogrammed. So when I got to that Thanksgiving time, I was able to look at that huge spread of food, and oh my gosh, it was just all the fixings, all the trimmings, and I was able to look at that and say, "Yep, I remember how that turkey tastes. Yep, I remember my favorite stuffing. My uncle used to make this oyster based stuffing, dressing, whatever. And
uh
oh,
huh.
I remember how good that tastes. My mom's candied yams, and just so many things. I remember how they taste. But then I have to quickly go to my intellect and turn off the emotional side and put the intellectual side on and say, but I also remember what that stuff did to my body, what, how it clogged my arteries and how it just sent me to the hospital, you know, clutching my chest. It just really, that you have to just really get that real with yourself and say, nope, I won't touch it. I won't touch it. Now, because that first Thanksgiving right after I went raw, we were in California visiting some people, and I just didn't want to be rude. She didn't know. They didn't know that that I had just gone raw. So number one, I took my own dish. So that's something that you can always do. If it's not a restaurant, you can make one of your favorite dishes that is raw and take it to share.
Oh, that's the key
Bring
to
a
share, because some people will
yeah,
frown on that. They'll say, "Well, how dare
yeah.
she? Or how she do that? I got food here. Why she want to bring that?"
Right. Well, I covered it ahead of time and said, "Hey, is it okay? I want to bring." And Chef Keedy was at this place too, so he always likes to show off his food,
Right.
and rightfully so. And so, we made the food and brought it, and you know what? That food was almost gone. Everybody was loving the raw stuff instead of all the cooked stuff. So you bring that so that you have something to eat and you can help educate other people
That's the
on
key
how
thing.
tasty the food is. Yeah, so it's a twofold thing there, strategy. And then I took a spoonful of the candied yams because I saw how they were made, and they weren't just like dripping wet in
Right.
a lot of sugar. I know when I used to make candy yams, oh, I put a lot of brown sugar in that.
You pile it on the top. Yeah, I remember that. I remember those days.
Woo, yeah. The sweeter the better with those candy
Oh yeah,
yams.
it's candied yams. Yeah. But
Might have called that.
the key thing you've been talking about is the whole mental aspect. And I know
Yes.
folks are out there, they're saying, well, how do you break? I mean, you've said some things, but how do I break that? How do I like convince my family, my friend? How do I avoid if someone's laughing at me or questioning me? Or even, we talked about this in the past offline, but you know, thinking that I'm doing something that's not faithful, not religious. I'm doing something that's, almost devilish or just evil. I mean, how do
Right.
you get past all of
You show by example, and when they, you say, well, hey, I'm taking care of my health. I'm reversing my health. I'm enjoying longevity. I'm enjoying vitality. And a lot of times you don't even have to tell them that because they see it. I get compliments all the time when I go to an event or somewhere and there's people there who I hadn't seen in a long time. And they're like, wow, you're looking great. You look terrific. And I'm like, okay, because I know that I'm healing myself from the
it? Right.
inside out. Uh, what you put in your body is going to clear up your skin much better than any foundation can do. When you're wearing that foundation every day, it's clogging your arteries anyway. And a lot of times people don't wash their makeup off all the way. So it's going to over time show a big difference. You're gonna, if you continue in that path where you're not repairing think matters from the inside out, you could easily look, 10 years older
Right.
than your age instead of 10 years younger.
And it's
And
funny you say that because I just had two nieces, my wife's nieces, and they're Thai. They were just here visiting us. And
mm-hmm.
one of the nieces is the younger one. She doesn't believe in drinking water. She drinks Pepsi and Coke.
Oh, oh,
And
ouch.
her sister is 4 years older than her, and she doesn't do that. She drinks water. The younger sister looks at least, I ain't saying at least, she looks 10 years old,
Oh, wow.
and she's overweight. The younger sister
Wow.
is thin, looks like she's about 20, but she's in her
Mm,
40s.
wow. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I guess if I can help anyone with your earlier question of, like, how do you really get someone to that point? If you can just really make it as elementary as
Right.
possible in learning what is a cell. Okay, start all the way down with CELL. the cell, and I guess you can go even smaller than that with molecules and atoms and such, but just at the cellular level, this is how I was able to train my brain over the emotional side to just really grasp the intellect of all of this. Is that okay? I have these cells and I am eating to support my cells. Okay, I cannot eat for just my taste buds purposes or my emotional tie to
Right.
this particular food. Even though the food does need to be tasty now, you don't need to just be forcing someone to eat some bland food to call
Right.
it vegan. It does not have to be bland. It needs to be the flavors need to be jumping off of your tongue actually, um, and that's very possible to show people how to prepare food that way. But yeah, taking it down to the cellular level. So you have these cells, and these cells are life. They are absolutely life, and our body is so brilliant. The way God designed our body is so brilliant that it remakes these cells every every second. And I can't remember. I should have looked this up before I came on the air, but it's something like 330 million new cells per second.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine?
Milliseconds. It's milliseconds. It's like going.
It's something. Yeah.
Your body.
It's
Our bodies are
crazy.
just basically moving. You're still. You can be
Yeah.
sitting still. Everything's moving.
Everything is working in there. Yep. It's all going to work. So you need to just get on board and find out what's doing what. And that's, so for instance, the cell, to keep it healthy, it needs oxygen, right?
Right.
And what's the best way to get oxygen into your body is through H2O, water. So for the niece that's not drinking water, if she just really learned how detriment detrimental that soda is to her health. I mean, it's just really, it's squashing those cells. It's mutating
Oh yeah.
them. It's just because they're lacking water. Dehydration is really the number one cause of death among elderly. They may put other stuff on the death certificate. I've never known them to put dehydration on the death certificate.
You're right. That's right.
Yeah, they don't put that, yet that is what takes them out because um, they have all these other ailments going on, and you go to the hospital. And I've watched this firsthand when with my cousin when he had a stroke and had to be rushed to the hospital. It was hours and hours before they hooked up an IV and put an IV in him to get some kind of fluids. So just imagine an elderly person, they already got some, maybe a broken bone, maybe they fell, or they have some other ailments. So that's tragic enough to an elderly person. And then their blood pressure is going to go up a little because of the anxiety of being there in the hospital. And then to not have any water flowing into their system on top of all that, they're just, you can almost see them like aging right before
Oh
your
yeah.
eyes in the hospital. The day that they're in there, they're aging more and more and more, shriveling up. And that's so tragic because I believe that our healthcare system, they have to know this, okay? Just, a nurse, your doctor, they know this, and not to fault any one of them, but at certain ages in the 80s, when someone's in their 80s and their 90s and they go into the hospital, the mentally they're already excusing or brushing them off as well. They lived a good life, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
They're not going to get
And
their
sometimes, Tara, you can
A1.
also say even earlier than that with our folks.
Yeah,
I've had experiences when I
yeah,
was in my when I turned 40 that all of a sudden went to get a physical once. And the doctor, she was saying to me, well, oh, you don't smoke. You don't have this ailment. You don't have that. I mean, you're 40 now. You're African American. You should have the following. I said, no, I don't
Oh
have
my
that.
God. That's
And then when
something.
I told her I took ginseng tea, she like freaked out, like, what? You
I
don't drink?
remember that.
Yeah, I drink ginseng tea. I drink water. You don't drink alcohol? You don't. But there's an assumption that at certain type of age, at certain types of races and
Yeah.
all, you have to be this.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
have to be
And that's
this
the word
way.
I was looking for. Yeah, you used the word I was looking for, assumptions. Yeah, they make these assumptions. Um, yeah, and when my mom has the person come to her, I guess with her insurance company, they come once a year and do your well check in your home and whatever. She's had to answer this over and over and over
Oh
when they're
yeah,
like,
I bet.
"You're not on any meds? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Are you sure? You're not on med? Are you
Are
sure?"
you
It's like,
sure?
right. And they're like, "Are you sure that they can't believe it that
Oh
she's
yeah.
86 and has never been on meds?" It's like they want to put you on it just so you could be quote unquote normal or something.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, they make that assumption that as African American people, we really should be aging faster, overweight, and dying earlier because of these diseases.
Yeah.
And
Once
we
we
have
hit our
to,
late 30s, that's it. Like, come on.
yeah,
Here
I
comes the
know.
medical profession. Here they come.
Yep. Here comes high blood pressure medicine. Oh my gosh. Can I tell you how many people I talk to who are on high blood pressure
Yeah.
medicine? And I'm like, it's really not for long term use, but yet they take it religiously because the doctor told them to take it. And the doctor's busy. The doctor has many other patients and may not even remember that
Oh
that
no,
they've
they don't.
uh,
Now I have a
had this.
friend who's like in his late 70s. He's had a revelation in the last year. Changed his diet. All his numbers have
Mm,
gone completely down. Doesn't need his high
see,
blood pressure.
there,
Doesn't need any of this stuff because he changed
yeah.
to. He's not raw yet, but he's getting to that point. He's not vegetarian or vegan yet, but he's getting there. And
Mm.
he's just cut out just a handful of things.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Cut out just a handful. Cut out little at a time, baby steps, and then you're more apt to continue with it. If you go all in 100% like I did, um, chances are you'll be like, "Oh no, what have I done? What have I done? Let me, go." Um, and I don't know, and tell people that this didn't work.
Right.
That's usually
That's
what
it. That's it. You can't, everything, like you
happens.
say, a baby, little tiny little steps. It's
That's
tiny. It's not nothing. You can't just stop everything all at once. And you just have to do it. That's how
right.
I started out. And that's, in the 70s. You can't just drop. You have to learn. You have to learn your body. But
Yeah.
which brings up something because you're talking about the cell, but I want to talk about another selling as far as money. I
Mm.
know there are listeners out there listening to you right now, Terry, and they're saying, well, that's too costly. I mean, she's probably organic food. I go in these stores. I go to the grocery store. It's all organic. I see these natural stores, health food stores. I go in there. The prices are too much. I mean, what do you say to people like
Mm.
that?
I say that being sick costs even more.
There you go.
Try going to a hospital. And I did once go to a hospital because of a cough that would not go away. And it was several years back, and so the prices are probably worse now. But I wasn't even in there 24 hours, and the hospital bill was $33,000.
Oh, come on.
Just yeah, just for them to run some tests and
Yeah.
find nothing physically wrong with me. Um, yeah, it was like that's an eye opener. So when people say it costs too much to eat this way, I say being unhealthy costs a lot. Having to pay your insurance deductible, and having to, and there's some things that your insurance may not even cover,
Right.
like you have the extras, like you have to have a walker, and a caregiver to come in and clean your surroundings and your bedroom and such. That's costly because you can't do it because you're ill. But if you had just paid a little bit more for some
And you can
for
have a
some
nurse
healthier
come in.
food,
You can have that walker. You can have all of this stuff. Yeah. Have a
yeah,
cane,
you need
whatever
all
you
that.
need. Yeah.
Yeah, so and then also then they may say, well, it takes a lot of time to prepare this food because I got to chop up all these vegetables, I got to chop up the fruit, I got to chop up stuff for the salad, the lettuce and all the stuff. And I say, well, try spending 6 hours in the ER, which I've done on occasion when I was dealing with the sarcoidosis, 6 hours before they even called my name. So you cannot tell me that you can't find 30 minutes to 45 minutes
Right.
to chop up all of your veggies. Do it all at one time. And I'm a big football fan. So I use Sunday when I'm watching football. I use that as my time to chop up a bunch of stuff and then put it in the, containers in the fridge so that
Right.
when I'm ready to eat or ready to prepare a meal, half the battle is already done because I have the
Yeah.
stuff chopped up.
And
And
that's
then
so simple. It's so easy.
it is, yeah, but a lot of times we just don't know because of traditions and
Yes.
habits. We just don't think about all this stuff. And organic, just real quick to answer your statement about the organic veggies and things in the store. I don't buy organic to tell you the truth. I don't because now some things yes, most no because I just wash the vegetables
There you
really
go.
good when you bring them home. Who's to say you have someone's field of produce in Argentina or wherever you're getting your stuff from, Mexico, wherever, Fresno, California, you have the garden, I mean, you have the farmland there. One may be organically grown, the other one not, but then the wind is going to carry
There
this
you
stuff.
go. That's right.
So, how do I know that this is totally organic? I don't know. So, why am I going to pay all this much more and it may not even be any healthier for me. But what I can be in control of is washing the stuff very thoroughly. And I have I use products because it's more than just what you put in your mouth that goes into being healthy. So I have products that I get from a particular wellness store, and it has the products have no chlorine, bleach, no ammonia, no phosphates, no parabens, no formaldehyde, so that I know that I can just use the dish detergent because it doesn't have all these chemicals in it. I use regular, not regular, like Palmolive or
Oh yeah.
whatever. I don't use those kind of regular dish detergents, but I use the healthy dish detergents to wash my vegetables and
That's
fruit.
it. Very simple. And Terry, we could go on. I mean, I got to have you on again because there's
I
so much
know.
more we have to talk about. But I want you right now to
Yes.
talk about, there's some other things that you do. I just want you to hint at it, and then we'll get you back on to talk about that. But
Mm-hmm.
some, because you're an author, we talked about your books, but some other stuff that you do real quickly.
Oh, yes. Yes. So, right now, as an end of life strategist, I help people just with all of that, what we were talking about right now, just help them live um, a life that is vibrant. How to thrive in your life and not just be broken down and tired and sluggish, but thrive while you're alive and then leave a legacy, not a load when it's time to go.
Right.
So, in doing that, you need to prepare. You need to just really stop and think and talk about that which people don't want to talk about, and that is death. We're all leaving this earth. We can't get out without dying. And so why not prepare for it when the person is in their right mind? You
Right.
have to do it then. And oh my gosh, I, we really do need to have this conversation again with the whole total conversation around the caregiver and having the papers signed for POA, guardianship. POA is power of attorney for your health, and then your power of attorney for finances. Guardianship, we need to talk about all this because I can tell you some
Oh, I can
stories
tell you
that
some stuff. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
whole
you
nother
can't make
show.
this
It's
right.
amazing. I mean, it's like the paperwork that you're dealing with,
Mhm,
property,
mhm.
it's just everything. But anyway, Terry, we can go another like yeah, we have to do
I
another show on
know.
that. But tell folks how they can reach you.
Yes. Oh, okay. Well, I make it very simple. TerryLiggins.com. Now that's Terry, Terri, and then my last name, Liggins, Liggins.com. And that takes you to my, I don't call it a website, but that takes you to my, like a link tree where you have all the
Right.
different, you click on the different links to buy my book or to hear past interviews that I've done, or to chat with me. You can, set a calendar date to chat about your health issues that and I don't do the full consultations like Chef Keedy does because he's the expert at it. But any preliminary, conversations that you want to have, I can certainly help point you in the right direction, get the supplements that you may need, the healthy products for your home that you need and for your skin, and just all the ways that people don't really think about that are part of their health journey.
That's it. Well, Terry, just thank you so much for coming on today, and I look forward to
Thank
having
you.
you back on here very soon again. In the next couple of months. So yeah, we got to get you back on. Just
Yeah,
really
that would be
thankful.
fun.
Thankful for everything you say, and it's just you're just doing incredible work. So thank you so much, Terry. I'll be
Oh,
talking to you later. You take
appreciate
care.
it. Thank you. Bye bye.
And again, that was Terry Liggins. I enjoyed talking to her, and as I found out, a lot of listeners enjoy hearing from her. And we'll have her back on probably next month, talking about more health issues and other things. But right, and I asked Terry off the air who was one of her favorite musicians, and she hit me to somebody I didn't even know about. I mean, I've been doing music on the air for years, but I didn't know about Galib Galab, a keyboardist out of from Chicago, but for many years he played many of the lounges and clubs in Vegas. And when she said his name, I said, okay, I will see if I have anything on him. And I'm going to play right now this song, which I've been playing a lot in the last couple of weeks from various artists. And I'm talking about Pharoah Sanders, The Creator Has a Master Plan. And this is his interpretation of it. Galib Galab, keyboarder. So let's hear on the Root and Root show.
time when peace was on the earth and joy and happiness did reign, and each man knew his word. In my heart, how I yearn for that Spirit's return, and I cry, oh I cry, as time flies. There is a place where love will always shine, and rainbows are the shadows of a love that's so divine, and the glow of the love will light a star up above, and it's free, can't you see? Come with me. The Creator has a master plan, peace and happiness for every man. The Creator makes one demand, peace and happiness through all the land. Through all the land. Through all the land. There is a place where love will always shine, and rainbows are the shadows of a love that's so divine, and the glow of the love light a star up above, and it's free, can't you see? Come with me. The Creator has a master plan, peace and happiness for every man. The Creator makes one demand, peace and happiness through all the land. Through all the land. Through all the land.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that rendition of The Creator Has a Master Plan, the amazing song by Pharoah Sanders. He first put out in 1969. It's so amazing. But we've been doing so many interpretations of that song since he passed last month. And I wanted to play this one for my friend Terry Liggins because she wanted to hear something from Galib Galab, and that's who was on that playing on the piano, and that was Darren Lamendi on the saxophone, and I think Galib was on the vocals too on that. But we enjoyed that on the Root and Roots show, and we can ready to get out of here right now. Once again, I want to thank Terry for being on today. And I want to thank all of you that have been listening. And hey, wait a minute. What happened to my folks in Kenya? I've been checking the stats lately, and no one from Kenya. I was having for a couple of months folks from Kenya listening to the Root and Root show. Come on, folks. Come on back. But we got people all over the world, in India now. We got them in Europe, a little bit of everywhere. Haven't seen my folks in Siberia in a while, but it's another story. But come on in and tell somebody about the show so they can check it out. And if you got ideas, suggestions for the show as far as guests or music, I'll do my best to get them on because a lot of people I get on this show are basically listener requests. So I'm just so happy to be able to do that, and I've been doing it that way for, I can't believe, over 20 some years, different iterations of the show. But hopefully, I know that you've been enjoying it. I keep doing it because I love it. And I love just serving you with entertainment, information, music from a Black perspective. But again, this is Greg Rashid. Go in love and go in peace. And know yourself. Know yourself, because if you don't know yourself, you can't help anyone. You can't do anything. Got to help yourself first and know yourself. So do what you can out there. We got a lot of stuff going on now in the world. Folks trying to bring negative vibes out there, but you got to bring your positive vibe to your community, to your village, to your province, to your town, wherever you are. Help a senior in need. Just check up on them when you can. Help a young person. If they don't have a laptop or computer or anything like that, or Wi-Fi, see what you can do to get them one. Help them with their Wi-Fi, but help each other because we're all in this together. We're all the same. No matter what people are trying to tell you, we're all the same. We're on this big blue marble right now. We're here right now. We're not here that long, but so enjoy your time and do your best just to help those along the way. So we'll be on next time on the Root and Root Show. This is Greg Rashid. Go in love and go in peace, and just know yourself and just help the world. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. And remember, spread the knowledge, share the power.